guys, and welcome back to Winning the Game of Life. My name is Pamela.
My name is Fabian.
And we are your hosts. On today's episode, we've got Mikey Taylor. He is not only a professional skateboarder, but he has figured out a way to win the game of life by making a lot of different investments. So, Mikey, why don't we throw it to you so you can kind of explain it better to the audience, how you figured out a way to make your money work for you.
Oh, yeah. The big question.
A lot there.
I always start with a lot.
It was like anything. It took a lot of time, a lot of trial and error, and great guidance, ultimately. I had somebody come into my life when I was young because I picked a career, which was skateboarding, that didn't have a long lifespan.
So how old were you when you first got like your first big paycheck as a skateboarder?
Well, that took some years. I got my first paycheck when I was about 19.
19, okay.
And it wasn't that big. The reason why I had to figure out at that point is because I decided not to go to college, which was like a huge red flag for my parents. They freaked out. And so they were like, look, if you're not going to school and like you're going to like try to do this thing, you need help.
Okay.
And so it was that moment where they really encouraged me to meet with somebody that would kind of teach me and mentor me around finance.
Okay.
And how to position myself with this, like, you know, this window that we had no idea how long it was going to be, and how to make that, you know, a stepping stone into the next thing. And so that's like kind of where it began. And
so it began at 19.
It started in 19.
So what was your journey like being a skateboarder? Because starting, you know, professional skateboarding at 19 is what most kids dream of doing. So what was that challenge for you to, you know, make yourself stand out where people would take notice and be like, we do want to work with this kid?
Good question. Well, for me, like being a pro skateboarder wasn't a dream for me.
Oh.
Which is, I think, different than most pro athletes. I was just obsessed with skateboarding. I loved it so much that I didn't want it to end. And the only way I could figure out on how to prolong my ability to keep skating was to get sponsored. And so I got sponsored, and then I started getting paid, basically. And I was like, okay, I just got to keep doing this so I can get paid so I get to skate every day.
Wow.
And that just meant I had to figure out how to be a pro skateboarder. And I didn't, like, there was part of being a pro skateboarder I did not like.
Really?
Like, that kind of was like, you know, talking about challenge. I fell in love with skateboarding. I had to figure out what, you know, would allow me to continue doing it. And then I moved into the industry where it took a different role. It became my career. And then I started hating it and went through that process of like, how did I let my dream and passion turn into this?
Yeah.
You know? And so that is like kind of why I became a pro. And then I started really enjoying being a pro. Where does it sound? I really started liking the business side of skateboarding.
Okay.
How to sell product, how to market myself, which kind of, you know, leans more towards your question. How did I separate myself? It didn't really start happening until I understood marketing, ultimately.
So marketing is what eventually led to you having the career that you ended up having, was marketing yourself.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So you never dreamt of being a pro skateboarder. You just loved it so much. You're like, I don't want this career to stop. Like, I don't want to stop skateboarding, and I'm going to figure out a way to make this a financial.
Yeah, I did not want to be a pro skateboarder. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want people to know who I was, to watch me skate and then talk shit on me. The beginning stages of my upbringing were like really fear-based.
Okay.
It was like, I just want to do my thing. How could I just skate and just like be happy?
So how did you like figure out ways to overcome the not liking the skateboarding? Because you said you hated it once it became your career. So how do you, because you hear that a lot with a lot of athletes who are like, you know, once it becomes a career, it's like it loses its pizzazz, you know, now it's work. Now you have to do this in order to get your next paycheck.
That's right.
Is work hard because there's someone else trying to get that same exact job that you have.
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that mentality where you started to love it again? I know you said you got more involved with the business side of it.
Yeah.
So is that kind of what helped you stay focused and keep grinding, or is there more to that?
Well, look, it's like, you know, in podcasts you talk about it like it was just, I had this like realization, I changed it real quick. This was like a 5 or 6 year journey.
Okay.
But basically, and look, I turned pro when I was 2002. So this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And there was no social media, but there were message boards.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of where it began for me. I put out a video part that was like kind of like one of my staple video parts. It's what led to me getting my first shoe. So it was a big deal. And then I was introduced to the message boards and just saw all these people talking shit on me. And it was like, devastating. That was the moment for me where I was like, it kind of ruined my skateboarding for a little bit. And it put me into this mode where I was like, every time I'd go out and skate, I started thinking about the criticism I was going to get and tried to do tricks based on not getting hate. right?
Okay.
And what's interesting is that happened, oh gosh, I was probably 23 around that time. So from 19 to 23, my career just went straight up, right? Vertical. And then all of a sudden, I started thinking about what people thought, and my career just flatlined. And it was because I started putting out stuff based on what I thought people were going to want to see, except the kind of kicker was I was putting out content that I thought people weren't going to talk shit on.
Wow.
And if you're concerned with that, you're never doing anything big enough to reach the other side, which is I love what you do, right?
Yeah.
And so it was during that moment where I just started hating skating. I was like, I couldn't have fun anymore. It was like I'd go skating, I'd go to the skate park, and all I would think about was the 300 kids there watching me.
Imagine trying to go pro this day and age with all the social media.
Yeah.
It's hard. Nuts.
It's hard. It's so, and like, look, it ended up leading to a blessing. Like, we know all of the challenges that we go through in life, if you push through on the other end, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? My career ended up taking on a form that was like, it was the greatest part of my career. But prior to that, I had to rediscover myself, rediscover skateboarding, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And it was just out of desperation. It was like, am I really going to let my passion die like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it was hard though.
You knew there was more there.
I just didn't want to accept that this is what it had become.
What it was going to be. Yeah. So the skate culture I'm not super familiar with. Is it like a lot more intense, would you say, now because of social media? Like, is there more of an audience, like more eyes on one skateboarder who is pro? And is there a lot more like feedback that is negative where, before you said you would see it on message boards, but in today's culture, in the skate culture, I'm sure there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Twitter. I mean, there's YouTube. How is it now, would you say?
So the skateboarding culture as a whole is pretty negative.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody talks
I
mess
feel like
all the
there's so
time.
many-
We hate everything. It's just like, it's a lot. It's a negative industry. Right?
Okay,
And
that's
it's,
so interesting to hear. I had no idea it was that powerful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, there's multiple components of it. But like when I started skateboarding was like, it was anti corporation, anti-success. It was counterculture.
Okay.
And people didn't like it. And like we fed off that. And then
Like
you
the
mix
Misfits.
it's like the Misfits. And then you mix people are trying to express themselves in an environment where like you're looked down upon. It just like spawns this like just negative outlook in a lot of ways.
Okay.
What social media has done is just made it really easy to see the feedback. Right? Where like, for me, like I saw the message boards and I was like, I'm never going to those message boards again. Right? Just out of sight, out of mind. Even though I was like always thinking about it, I didn't have to remind myself of the current thing people were hating on in real time.
Yeah.
That happened once social media hit. And then I think it got a little bit more challenging. But also the argument back is like kids are like born into it now. It's like,
That's all they know
I'm
now.
saying? It's shocking for the first time for you to like experience a lot of people hating you. That's a shock to the system.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, that's what like kids do now on a daily basis. It's
That's like the norm. Cancel culture is insane right now.
Yeah.
So with that being said, obviously, one thing that I feel like is super important as a skateboarder, or anyone who has to kind of make their like individual person is their brand, right? So I guess someone who's like a video gamer, for example, who they are as a person is their brand.
That's right.
So knowing their audience and building that community is so valuable because those are the people at the end of the day that are going to have your back when you do get all those negative people, saying like you suck and you're not good enough.
Yep.
So for you, like how important is it for a skateboarder to know your audience and build that community?
Oh, it's everything.
It is everything.
Everything. Oh yeah, and this like look, my wife gets on me because like sometimes I'll take her ideas and just like own them as my own.
Let's give her credit.
That's right.
Tag your sponsors always.
That's right. This was one area that my wife was constantly pushing on me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And there was pushback on my end. Like she kept basically telling me like, look, like put your personality out there. Like you are so like funny and charismatic and like let them see you. Let them see your failures, right? Like take them through the journey.
Wow.
And like I was just like, no, like absolutely not. And what my problem was is I became comfortable with the fact that people didn't like how I skateboarded, right? Because that had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Right? That was just what I was doing. And when she was like, look, like put yourself out there, I was like, shit, this means they're gonna have a reason to actually hate me.
Oh,
You know
wow,
what I'm
that's
saying?
such a scary
It was
mentality
scary.
to have.
Look, the beginning of my I had half of my career that was fear-based. Second half was half of my second half was me eliminating fear. The last quarter was a whole different thing for me.
Wow.
But at this time, it was just like, okay, I'm going to put myself out there. Like, I'm going to go for it. And once I did, everything changed. The level of success I had, the amount of people paying attention to me, it was 10x. It was crazy.
It's like people started respecting you for being more open and more vulnerable.
And I started putting a value beyond the way I skateboarded. This is where it was like when we start talking about marketing, like
Yes.
what did I realize on how to separate myself from everyone else? Storytelling, connecting. It was everything other than skateboarding itself. And it went from like, you know, prior to me putting myself out there, you know, I was probably, I don't know, 30th on like well-known skaters, 15. When I made this transformation, I became like, dude, I had like the largest social media following for a long time. It was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I just jumped up into like the top 5 ranking, and I was the worst out of that. Like, as far as talent goes, they were all better than me. And I found a way to like make more money than everybody. It was just it just became something different.
Because you use something that I think most people forget in all aspects of life, that human connection. There's nothing stronger than that. People want to relate. I mean, we're all put on this earth for a reason.
Yeah.
People want to connect. People want to relate.
Yeah.
And that goes for, I mean, athletes. That goes for streamers. That goes for business people in general. Anyone in marketing. There is a lot more power in human connection than people want to believe.
That's right.
People are afraid to be vulnerable. People, like you said, you get so caught up in thinking like, what are they going to think? What's that person going to say about what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, that's right.
And I think the fact that you were able to overcome that fear, because again, at the end of the day, that is a fear. You're afraid of what people are going to say,
Right.
and overcoming that fear is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So congratulations. I mean, that couldn't have been easy. Must have taken some time to be like, I'm going to do it.
It was brutal. Not easy.
Do you have any advice on that?
Not easy at all. Yes, I do. A lot of advice. It's something I want to
lot
just,
of advice. We love that.
Something I do want to say, just because you touched on it. You're talking about basically human connecting with people, right? And we really need to remember that people don't connect with people who just win all day, right?
Yeah.
People connect with failure. People connect with people trying and struggling. And so, like, remembering to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, you'll relate to more people than just highlighting what you've done well.
Yeah.
You know,
We should cancel the highlight reels, guys.
well, look, why do you think TikTok's having so much success?
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? Why are they
absolutely.
taking over so much space from Instagram? Because Instagram became a highlight reel.
Absolutely.
TikTok became more real. It's just people want raw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you in real life? That's what they want to see.
Yeah, and I think that's actually an interesting topic about TikTok and why it's becoming a stronger platform. Is I think anyone can make a TikTok and make one viral video, and it's like a viral video of like who they are as a person, whatever creative outlet that they're showing.
Yeah.
People want to relate at the end of the day, and TikTok allows so many individuals for so many walks of life, whether you have literally 5 friends or like 10,000 people watching you. TikTok allows people to just connect to everyone.
And it can be a random video that goes viral. It doesn't even have to be your good stuff. It's just
Yeah.
if you're showing yourself, that's what people are wanting to follow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think it's the best platform out right now.
Absolutely.
I think it's of course going to change, but right now in this moment, it's what's needed.
It is. I couldn't agree with you more. And I feel like that's now the business side of you talking too, because I know you're very involved with TikTok as well.
Yes.
So what challenges did you find once you decided that you were going to take a business outlook in the skating world and your career and in your life? Like, what were some challenges you faced? Because I'm sure you had some ideas where people were like, no, like you're just a skateboarder. Like, what do you know?
Oh yeah. Still deal with that. Okay. So as I'm going through this, like, I'm going to put myself out there, right? I'm going to give them the real me. And then I started getting like people that didn't like the real me. And what was a blessing by that is it helped prepare me for what was going to come after my career, which is what you're referring to. So I was able to build like a discipline and a tolerance in a sense.
Okay.
When I went like full bore, like business and talking about finance, didn't go well. Didn't go well at all. You know, it was probably, a year of just like people just like not understanding. Why are you doing this? Why aren't you skating anymore? The next year was like, okay, shit, he's still talking about this? Like, you know what I'm saying?
He
You
hasn't
had-
given up?
No, and you had a little bit more people go, okay, maybe I'll start listing. But, you know, a lot of people like, dude, you're a skater. You're not supposed to be talking this way. Like, what happened to you? You know, you failed us, the whole 9. And then by the 3rd year, it was like, okay, we'll listen now.
Yeah.
And you start having more and more people. But like, you know, some of my friends, like the compliment they'll give me is like, dude, I don't know how you're going through this. Like, you are just getting hit and hit and hit and hit and hit, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely not easy, but I'm just focusing on where I'm headed, not where I'm at in the moment. And I know a lot of people, like, one, they want to see me skate. Like, that's what they followed me for, was because I was a skater, right? So there's like the one component of like, skaters don't really know what happens to skaters after skateboarding ends. And two, like, I don't want to be the 20-year-old I was for the rest of my life. Life goes on, and this is what I'm building now. And so, look, I still get it. And, but I have my purpose. It's the purpose. I think that's the easiest way to articulate it. I know my purpose. I know why I'm doing this. And for those that don't like it, then it's not for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing it for a certain type of person.
Yeah.
And if they're on board, let's go.
Yeah.
If they're not, all good. This isn't for you.
Yeah,
You
you're
talk
like,
your shit.
yeah.
I'm all good. We're going to keep going.
Since you were so business-minded at the start, do you think that kind of held you back with skating in any way because you were focused on long-term and not worried about in the now, where most people are?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes and no. Like, you know, the two parts of it were, when I was skating, all of the business stuff was completely undercover. I never talked about this at all. Only with two people. Because skate, like, you couldn't talk like this to skaters. It wasn't accepted.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if it's such a negative,
100%.
like you said, culture
You
where
don't
most
talk about
people are
money.
so angry.
You don't talk about setting yourself up, right? And so my friend P-Rod, he was like, we would talk about
old friend
business
P-Rod.
left and right, but it was just us that would talk about it, like no one else. And like, you know, we started having a couple other people we'd talk to, but like, it was under the wraps. And so, you know, when I started doing this, there was this kind of like, what the heck is this? Why is he doing it? But kind of to answer your point or your question, I think because I'm more thinking about, I don't know if it's business or maybe it's just more strategically planning for the future.
Yeah, you're preparing yourself.
Yeah, I think it helps in some cases. And then I think sometimes I got a little bit too excited and it hurt, you know, like there was a moment in my career where I was like, I'm going to own everything I market. I'm going to own the shoes. I'm going to own the boards, the clothes, beverage, everything. And so once I made that decision, it was like full skate brain or entrepreneur, like I'm going to go get it right now. Yeah. And so, you know, we started St. Archer, which was a craft brewery that took over my, you know, beverage category. I started Sovereign, which was boards and clothes. I had not started the shoes yet. And with the board and clothes, it wasn't around long enough to generate like real income for myself.
Got it.
Right. And then when I lost my shoe sponsor, all of my income went away. So it was like almost like, okay, how I think what I would have changed is introducing a new brand earlier to then give it the time it needs to become an actual, you know, sustainable business to pay me before I move on to the next. But I mean, then again, it's like everything happens for a reason. It's like,
absolutely.
I don't know if I'd be doing this right now if it wouldn't have happened in that order, and I wouldn't give this up for anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I'm talking about actually your shoe brand and all of your business adventures that you've had leading up to this point. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about what it felt like losing that shoe brand? Because I know you had 2 years left on your contract when they had called you. So how did that feel? Like, was it totally unexpected? Like, were you prepared, or was it more like a bruise to the ego? Like, not necessarily like a financial loss, but more like, oh shit, like I was not expecting this to happen. Now, like, why now? Like, kind of, how was that? Was that a setback to you at all, or did it just kind of reposition you into another path?
All of that. Okay, where do we start? It was a blow to the ego.
Blow to the ego.
It was a blow to identity. It was a blow to purpose. It was a blow to the vision that I thought my career was going to have when it ended. It was saying goodbye to what I had done for 25 years prior, right?
This is like a lot for me to take in.
Look.
It's like you got stripped away from everything you had
all of
had.
it, all
Everything
of it.
like
All of it gone.
attached to your self-identity.
All of it gone. All of it gone.
Okay.
And without warning, overnight gone, right? And to add to it, I had surgery a month and a half prior. So I was on the couch, crutches, couldn't even walk, which is already like, for athletes, having surgery is brutal. It's not the physical part, it's the mental. It becomes such a mental battle, and you're already working through so many like insecurities or demons, whatever you want to call them, right? I'm in the midst of that, and then the whole thing ends.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So it's just like, yeah, it's like, dude, the lights turned off pretty much.
Wow. So with that contract, 'cause I know you had 2 years left, were you kind of prepared to already walk away after the 2 years? Like, were you hoping to get those 2 years and then be like, okay, I can walk away from this?
Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. So to be transparent, financially, I had already achieved financial freedom prior to my contract ending.
Okay.
So that was always my goal from a financial standpoint. Get to a point where I don't need sponsors. That was like the most uncomfortable part about being a pro was that I felt like all my sponsors had all the control of what my future is going to look like. And so the beginning stages were take control back. Then moving into my contract, right? Now we're talking about like the ego and the identity, all this. My contract was going to end about 2 years, and I thought I was actually going to do another deal after that.
Oh, shoot.
Right? I was 33 at this point.
Okay.
So I was like, and dude, I was 33. I was selling more shoes than pretty much anyone on the company. I had a huge following. Like from a ability to sell product, I was able to do it. Oh yeah, I was able to do it. So I just like was like, yeah, dude, they'll sign me for 3 more years. Like maybe I won't be making as much, but like I'm good for 3 years. And so the hard part for me is that it ended very differently than I thought. And like, dude, you know how it is. It's like we all want things to happen on our terms.
Yeah.
Right? Like
life
look,
definitely has other plans.
I want to
for us.
stop when I'm 37.
Yeah.
And I want there to be a party, and I want there to be all these videos
You want people to
highlighting
be
my
begging
career.
you not to
Right?
go.
Exactly. Like that's just like that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, but when it happened, I remember it was like, you know, lights turned out. Like what the hell just happened to me? And I had a friend that called me, you know, maybe like a month in, and he was like, okay, look, I know what you're going through. He had already gone through his transition.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I know what you're going through, and I know this is brutal, but I just want you to think of one thing. You're at a fork in the road, right? And I know you. This is going to lead you down a direction that you are going to look back on and be thankful for this moment. It doesn't feel like it right now, but I just want you to hang on to the idea that you will be thankful that you were put in this situation. I didn't want to hear that at that point.
Nobody does, really.
No.
No, yeah. It's like the last thing you want to hear.
No,
You're
I
like,
wanted
you
him
don't
to
know
tell
what
me,
you're
like,
talking
hey, you know
about.
what? Like, I got
You know what I'm
sponsored for
saying. You know what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah, let me help you out. I got another shoe deal.
Yeah, that's what but full transparency, once I went through the, call it, year of just pain,
Yeah.
I started chipping away, like climbing back. And, you know, now I'm at a point where I'm like, thank God for this moment.
Wow.
Thank God DC let me go
your
the way
friend
they
was
did.
right.
He was totally right. He was totally right, you know. But it wasn't easy to hear, even though he was being encouraging at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't want to go through it. It's like what we were talking about earlier about like being hypnotized, right? Like when you've done something like, you know, I became a pro skateboarder. I knew the amount of time and energy that I had to put in to master that craft, right?
Yeah.
With business, same type of energy. It's brutal. And so when you get in these situations where you're like, shit, I know the amount of work I have to put in. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, that was just one of those moments where it's like I knew he was right. I didn't want to go through that much pain. Like that was a different thing. That was like work and pain.
Yeah.
The other ones, it's more just a lot of work.
Yeah. So what finally got you to change your mindset then and like kind of change your perspective to be like, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to let myself feel it to get to the other side where you're at now. Was there anything that you like had learned, taken on?
Yeah. I had to,
Any books? I know we talked about Ryan Holiday. Like what helped you finally say, I'm done feeling sorry for myself. I need to figure out what my next move is.
For me,
Yeah.
it was the Bible.
Oh,
I had to
love that.
I had to let go of everything.
I love that. Okay.
I got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this on my own. It
Need
was
God.
that bad. It was like,
Okay.
and trying to kind of to give you a little bit more, in the moment, all I could explain was that like I didn't feel like me. Like I was like a happy person. I was confident. Like I had an ability to push through a lot of, you know, uncomfortableness. And it was just like, what the hell happened to this guy? Like, where's Mikey, right? I remember just telling myself, I got to get back to Mikey. I got to get back to Mikey. And my first idea was I was going to start a shoe company, right? I'm going to start a shoe company. My payback to getting let go from DC is going to be to build a business that's more successful. They're going to wish they didn't let me go, right? That whole thing. And I got to the point where I had the business plan. We had samples that I was physically looking at from China going, why the hell am I doing this?
wow.
Right? So I was trying to mask
The pain.
a problem inside by putting this front of identity on top of it, right? I'm going to be Mikey Taylor, the entrepreneur. That will fix everything inside. Instead of fixing what was inside and then going out and achieving when the vehicle's built, right? Like build the vehicle first, then step on the gas.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, I just was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore. Can you help me? That was what it was. Can you help me? Can you get me out of this mess? Can I stop feeling this way?
Yeah.
Can I stop worrying about what people think? Like, why am I so concerned about somebody not liking me?
Yeah.
What is all this insecurity? How do I get rid of it?
Yeah.
And what it was is I had to address the question, why am I here? Why am I on
So
this
your
earth?
purpose. So it's like
what
you
is
found
my
your
purpose? Exactly.
You found your purpose.
Exactly. And so once I was able to find my purpose, then figuring out how to use my purpose became a lot easier. Instead of just, I'll just go do the things to do to feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, talking about purpose, I did see that you are you invest a lot. Is that something that you kind of guide pro skaters to do? Like, do you try and guide people who were in the same position that you were in, who maybe did not have the same guidance that you did? Because I know you had mentioned your dad talked to you about finances. He's like, you need to get involved in this because you can't just let your money sit.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the biggest mistakes many people do, actually, is they let a lot of money just sit instead of thinking, how can I make it work for me? How can I invest? What can I do? So is that something you're doing right now actively? Like, do you talk to other people that were in your same position that just don't have the same guidance that you once did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Oh, awesome.
So basically, I had somebody come into my life that helped educate me and empower me around finance. My career ends, and look, I'm a pro skateboarder, not a baseball player, basketball player. We weren't making money like that. And I was able to get to a point where I could choose to work again. And so I experienced the blessings of creating discipline early and understanding opportunity to position myself into what my friend Thatch says, freedom, option, choice, right?
Wow, I love that.
And so when I looked around at all my other friends, it was like, I was thankful, but like I also had like survivor's guilt. Like I was like one of 3 skaters that achieved this, right? And I wasn't one of the skaters that was sponsored by like Nike making millions. That wasn't me. So, in that moment, I was just like, dude, what can I do so that more of us experience this, right? It wasn't coming from school. We know that.
Yeah.
So I basically decided to start a company replicating what the person did in my life for others. And instead of me having that one-on-one person, I was just going to shout it on social media as loud as I could. Everything he taught me, it's going out there on blast.
Taking
right?
the Gary Vee approach, right? Like
100%.
Anything that you knew, you're just shoving out on.
That's right. That's right.
Social media.
That's right. And then the other component was my mentor also ran real estate funds. So my exposure into opportunity that was able to build passive income for myself was through him. So not only did I want to, spit it out there and educate and empower, I also wanted opportunity that people could participate in, because sometimes you could learn about investing, but that doesn't mean that you're able to find great opportunity to kind of realize some of the benefits of it. And so that was why I formed the whole company. It's called Commune, but it's all about empowerment and partnering with us.
That's amazing, because I know we talked about this earlier. Many athletes are guided what to do with their finances with financial advisors, real estate investment from the get-go, the moment they get their very first contract. In most sports, they're completely guided. And it's unfortunate that most people, either streamers on Twitch or, skateboarders, YouTubers, whatever it is, where they don't have the same guidance. Yeah. I think it's amazing that you have something that can kind of guide people, not just skateboarders. I think a lot of people can get value from that.
It's cool. And we're at the point now where we have, we have skaters, surfers, football players, YouTube, we have a lot of investors now that are kind of our world. Yeah. Which is awesome. The other thing is there's a lot of people that just DM me now. Hey dude, thank you so much. I had 2 pro kayakers hit me. I know nothing about kayak. I didn't either. And they were sure. I'm making but it was just it's cool that I'm able to give back based on what somebody did in my life to people in industries that I had no idea about.
Existed.
Yeah. And then the other thing too, we have we're getting close to about 500 investors.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, we're starting to we're starting to get
build momentum.
Yeah. And most of them are not athletes. That's the thing. Our minority is athletes. And that's who I'm so passionate about. But it kind of touches on something you said is money management, or the idea of creating financial independence, is something that all of us are trying to do, but none of us are educated on how to do it. It's just, it's not out there. So I think it's that this message actually resonates with people beyond our short-lived career.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Commune Capital, it's capital, right? Is that your singular business now, or do you still have multiple businesses? Because I know you sold the beer company that you had. Is that the only thing you're focusing on right now?
Yeah. This is
that's your future.
It's
for now.
I have no time. It's just it's taking everything. Look, the brewery, Sovereign, which is skateboards and apparel, it was more in my wheelhouse. This is so different that it's just, there's way more moving parts to it. There's way more compliance. There's which I enjoy. But I've got a lot more time until this thing gets to a point where like it's operating without me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So for the next, I would call it 5 years for sure. It's probably all this.
Did COVID impact you guys at all last year?
We are impacted in a positive way.
In a positive way?
Yeah. I
That's good.
think somebody touched on it, maybe it was Sergio, but seeing a shift that happened through COVID.
Yes. Yeah.
We felt it on the financial side as well. In twofold. March hits, April, all of a sudden we have so many more people paying attention to us on social media, which is all financial literacy, right? People are like, what the hell's happening? I need to pay attention. On the opportunity side, whenever you see corrections in the market, people's risk tolerance changes, and they want to start investing in assets that eliminate some of that risk. And real estate kind of always is one of those kind of asset classes that hedge against it. So you saw a lot more people reaching out going, can we talk about real estate?
Yeah.
And then as we started printing money and we started hearing about inflation, that's when people started going, okay, wait, my dollar might die like for real. Yeah. I need to hedge against inflation. And real estate is another kind of great asset class for that.
Yeah.
So for us, it's been opportunity based, which is a blessing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about real estate, do you have any tips for anyone who's like looking to get involved in real estate? Any advice on, what to kind of look for or where to start? Any, obviously you guys have
somebody with $300 in the account and trying to.
It's a really good question. So there's two parts of it. There's active and passive.
Okay.
So if you want to be an active investor, that means you're doing the work.
Okay.
You're out there finding the deals, you're managing the deal. This is basically your job. So that's active investor. Passive investor means you're just making money off your dollars, right? Like you essentially
Kind of like stocks in a sense?
Similar to stocks, right? Like if you're going to invest with me, I'm trying to hit a return to be able to use your capital.
Yeah.
You're not doing any of the work, right? You're just making money off your money.
Yeah.
So that's passive, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to be a passive investor, you have to get to a point where you have enough money to invest, right?
Okay.
So there is kind of a barrier to entry that's a little bit high, at least for private real estate. Like you could always go down the path of like public REITs, where, it's kind of more like the stock market and, it's maybe backed by real estate as opposed to, business, but you're still able to diversify. If you're active, you got to educate.
Okay.
If you have $300 and you want to get in real estate, you got to start learning about it.
Okay.
How do you find deals? How are deals valued? How do you do your pro forma? How do you find management? How do you make relationships with brokers so that you can get to a point where you can find opportunity and then bring opportunity to people with money? Okay. And that's the thing that, like, for whatever reason, I thought this way too. Like, oh yeah, like the rich, like they're never going to want to invest with me. Why would they want to? People with money are always looking for opportunity, always. And they get to a point where they don't need to find it anymore. People bring it to them. So if you can find great opportunity, you can get paid for that great opportunity. And it can be in the form of equity so that you actually have ownership in it while you're using other people's money.
Wow.
So education, if you have $300, start
How does
educating.
one get educated on that? Because, I mean, for instance, like with me, I don't even know where to start with that. Not saying I'm going to get into it, but just to anybody listening.
Okay, so there are a couple ways. There's books, right? Great book is Set for Life. That's a great one. Bigger Pockets is one of the greatest platforms when it comes to real estate. Go on to Bigger Pockets. They have podcasts, website, all over Instagram. It's a great beginner's guide for real estate. And then they also do a really good job creating community in their forums. So, if you have a question, you jump on the forum. Dude, when I talk about community, it is massive. And there's so many people that jump on there and go, hey, dude, I was in that position. This is what I did. So that's a great resource.
Different from the skateboarding forums, right?
Yeah, skateboard is just like, you stop doing this, stop playing with that, But Bigger Pockets, I think, is probably the best.
The one you'd highly recommend. Okay, I love that. I feel like we've learned so much about kind of how to prepare for life's unexpected twists and turns. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think this goes for all aspects of life. Nothing in life is guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed forever at all. And I think the best thing that we can all do is prepare for the unexpected, which is something that apparently you've spent most of your time and resources just discovering ways to prepare for a better future for yourself, no matter what is thrown your way.
Yep.
So I applaud you.
Thank you. And
I applaud you.
Thank you. And I'm going to add on this one because
Yeah, please do.
I've learned that every time I say, like, to skaters or football players especially, hey, you want to prepare for your future. You want to prepare for your future. They don't like hearing that because it sounds like defense. Right? Like, nah, my shit's not going to end like that. Like, how I started presenting it, which has actually helped, is how are we going to maximize opportunity?
I love that.
It's less about defense, more about offense. How do we capitalize?
Like, how do we make this better now?
That's right. How do we keep up this energy, right? You start talking that way, and then you go, so look, this is how we get to keep doing what we want to do at a higher level. We got to start getting dollars out there, start getting dollars to work. So that is something I changed, because I used to say that too, and it's helped a lot just saying it that way.
That is incredible. I've never heard it worded like that. That is
I had to have a football player tell me that.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, I had a football player who ended up moving into kind of similar to what I do.
Okay.
And he was like, look, dog, I'm just going to tell you, like, people like used to come into the locker room and talk just like that. Like, you need to start preparing. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, the hell's this guy know?
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to 2 years. I'm going 10.
Yeah.
Right. And he was the one that like actually blessed me with that. Look, this is how you got to start presenting it.
Shout out to that guy.
Absolutely. J.R. Tolver is his name.
J.R. Tolver.
Yeah.
Learning how to do this so early, do you think it actually helps you make more money in the long run than what, like, when you're doing the pro skating? Do you think it'll end up getting to that point, or is that just like...
Yeah, the answer is yes, kind of on two fronts. One, we have this idea that we'll figure out money when we make a lot of money, right? It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely.
It's all about creating discipline, right? So when you're young, if you can create the discipline first when you're not making money, then as you make more, you've already got the system in place. It makes it very easy to capitalize on making more money,
Absolutely.
right? So discipline's probably one. Two, compound interest loves time. It loves time. So the more time you give an investment to be able to keep multiplying on your money, the greater it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's like the Tony Robbins. You hear the Tony Robbins famous example?
No, let's hear it.
So I might butcher it, but basically, if you start investing from 18 to 25, you invest $300 a month, right?
Dang, I already missed it.
Okay, so look, it's just an
30
example.
to 35. Let's keep it going.
It's just an example. We can keep going, right? But
Yeah.
from 18 to 25, I think it's like a little over $28,000, right? And then you don't have to reinvest from that point, but you let your investment keep growing till the time of retirement. It'll be worth about $1.8 million.
Yeah.
So $28,000 into $1.8 million, and he bases it off of basically stock market performance.
Yeah.
It's earned 10% each year, and because of compound interest, the thing just starts going nuts over time. So with compound interest, you do want to start young just because you give it more time.
Yeah. To grow.
But that doesn't mean, like, look, that's one thing. Like, we just made a video on if you have no savings or investments at 40, what do you do, right? There is a way to do it. But if you have the option to do it when you're young, yes, always.
Do it now.
Yeah, like, what's the famous thing? Like, famous quote, when's the best time to, when was the best time to plant a tree? Is that what they say? 20 years ago, 40 years ago, second best time is now, right? It's like investing follows the same suit.
Yeah, I agree.
Best time is 20 years ago, second best time is
with more
right
reason, this should be taught in school, especially if you're going to learn or teach somebody how to make more money in the long run. Why don't people learn that in school more?
I think it's on purpose.
I think so too, because people like to have.
Well, if you're like me, like, why do you go to school? Like, that was the thing that this is the thing that jammed me up about school, right? I thought I was going to school to learn how to make money. Why else are you going? To learn some type of career to make you money. It's all about making money, essentially, right? So one thing they didn't teach me.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? If all of us are out here to go make money,
why are we not learning more outlets of how to make money?
Yeah, and I've gotten to the point where there's no other reason than it's on purpose.
I couldn't agree with you more, because I think, unfortunately, people who have money don't want everyone else to realize how easy. It's honestly a lot easier than people give it credit. Like you said, if you invest literally even $300 a month, even if it's $100 a month, in 10, 20 years from now, if you put it in like mutual funds and you name it, whatever, a stock, that's going to continue to grow over time to be able to allow us to all retire comfortably at a younger age, instead of working until we're 65, 70, whatever a lot of people unfortunately have to do.
That's the reality. Yeah. And the thing is too, people with money, like, everybody thinks like, oh, people with money don't want to tell you their secrets, right?
They want to.
We scream this out all day long.
Yeah.
But the reality is culture does such a great job at holding everyone down. We could say it all we want. No one's going to do it.
People are too afraid to believe that they can do it too.
Every time I say it's possible, the current thing is privilege. That's your privilege coming out, right? Culture has done a very good job to make people think that it's not possible. And so you have all these people going, no, you can. This is how you do it. And there's too much control to it. You know.
I think there's a lot of fear too. People are afraid to start taking the money that they've worked so hard to make and actually put it into something, and not, because people are so used to instant gratification. That's something we've all been taught. is instant gratification.
Right.
So if you're not seeing it, people are so afraid to believe that it actually will work.
That's right.
So I know we're kind of running short on time, so we're going to end it with 2 questions that we always do. Do you want to start with the first one?
What does future Mikey entail? Because I know your company's up right now. Where do you see yourself, or where do you see your business in the next 40 years?
40. Okay. 40's far out. Our
You've got
goal.
time.
I mean, you're the long-term guy, man.
I know
so
it. I know it. I'm hanging on to our short-term goal right now. Our short-term goal is to be managing about $1 billion of real estate. We're managing we're getting close to about 150 million right now. That's kind of our 5-year goal. Our 10-year goal, it's just impact-driven. We want to help as many people achieve financial freedom as possible. I don't have a number to it. It's just as much as possible.
Yeah.
I would say probably what's taking a precedent over business is kind of we were talking about COVID and what we gathered from it. My biggest realization from COVID was the importance of me as a parent and building my kids up to be leaders.
I love that.
Yeah, and that is like I'm focusing a lot of energy on the business, but I've definitely dedicated way more time with the girls and now my son. I'm not letting the schools do it anymore. We pulled our kids out of school. We are taking initiative to go. We are building these kids up because, in my perspective, society's not doing it. They're letting our kids down. So, my 40-year goal is to create and lead these kids to make an impact in their community greater than we are allowed to.
So much. I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're building them up to be able to walk their own path with strong.
I want them to be able to make impact.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty powerful. Many parents I know are starting to do the homeschooling thing as well because they just feel like they're not getting the right attention anymore. And unfortunately, all the schools closing down made a lot of parents realize that. So it's amazing that you guys have the ability to homeschool them and pave the way for them to be strong individuals and make an impact in our future. So
totally. And I will say,
looking forward to see what they become.
Thank you. I am too. And look, it's harder than business. I'll tell you straight up. I think being a parent is the hardest thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then
For all my parents out there,
and you said you have 3 kids?
we do now. Yeah.
Okay. What are their names?
Scarlett, Amelia, and Elliot.
Well, look out for Scarlett, Amelia, and Elliot, guys.
Yeah.
Future.
Bless the future. God willing.
And so our next question is going to be, if you could prescribe anything to everyone around the world for 30 days, what would you prescribe?
Like anything?
Anything. 30 days. We have to do whatever it is that you suggest. It's pretty powerful.
Man.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Look, for my life, the greatest impact that was ever made on my life was God. So I would say, knowing what that did for me, 30 days in the Bible.
30 days on the Bible.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. On Spotify, there's actually an audible Bible passage every single day.
Look,
it uploads to your Spotify, and you can literally read the Bible every single day just by your Spotify.
I did not know that. I'm going to do that.
2016, I did the Bible in a year.
Oh.
Never read the Bible. The Bible in a year.
The Audible?
I did. It was an app on the phone, Bible app.
Oh, I've seen that.
Awesome.
Okay,
It was
I love
awesome.
that. Okay, and I know you said you have, what is it, Comcast? Not Comcast. What's it, the company?
Commune.
Commune. Thank you.
He owns
I was
Comcast now.
That was
I
big,
was
guys.
Comcast. That's not right. That's not right.
I would have taken the helicopter to get here, guys.
Yeah, sorry guys. Anyway, a little brain fart there. Happens to the best of us. So if people wanted to get involved with you, how could they find you or your company? This is your shameless plug right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that opportunity. Easiest way for me, Mikey Taylor on pretty much every platform.
Mikey Taylor. Okay.
Yeah, if you find one of them, you can find all of them. And then our company's Commune Capital. So you can go on any social media and find us. If you want to go to our website, communecapital.com. And then also the last plug I'm going to give, on my Instagram, I have a text number. And that text group is growing now. Every Monday I do a 9 o'clock text that's kind of to get the week set right.
What?
It's actually my favorite platform, even though it is my smallest one.
Yeah.
I love that platform. So if you want to be a part of that, shoot me a text.
Hey, if you guys want to text
We'll
from
get you
Mikey
wrapped
Monday mornings at 9, right? 9?
9 o'clock every Monday morning, and then I spend about 25 minutes a day responding to as many as I can. I can't get to it's too big now for everyone, But 20 minutes, 25 minutes dedicated to responding. So you are getting the real me. It's no bot life.
That's
it's
pretty
me.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Again, community, audience.
That's right.
Connecting, staying
That's right.
connected.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for blessing us with your time for the last few, I think 45 minutes to an hour. That was incredible. I hope you guys learned some ways to prepare yourself for a future because, again, you never know what's going to happen.
True.
So until next time, guys.
Peace.